Do you want to know the fastest way to lose a client? Answer their questions. Sounds backwards, right? But there's a hidden pattern I call the reply trap, and these poker chips are going to show you exactly how it works. This trap quietly ruins sales conversations, especially if you're selling high trust, high ticket services that depend on real connection before clients say yes. If your leads and prospects keep telling you, I'm interested, but then disappear, there's a good chance your instinct to explain things is setting the trap and flipping the power dynamic without you even realizing it. Over the last decade, I've created campaigns for companies like Google, Amazon, Meta, and thousands more, and I keep seeing this exact same pattern. Most deals don't fall apart when you present your offer. They fall apart in that tiny gap after someone shows interest, but before they actually hand over their credit card. And fixing how you respond in that exact moment is the difference between booked clients and dead leads. That's why in this video, I'm going to break down the 4-message framework I share with service providers like coaches, consultants, agency owners, and people working in health, finance, or similar fields in order to help you escape the reply trap, stay in control, and turn interested into booked calls without chasing anyone down. But to understand why this works so well, you first need to see how most people accidentally give up control and lose the deal without even realizing it. See, the moment you shift from curious to convincing, you flip the power dynamic against yourself. I want you to think about a job interview for a second. Who holds the power? Well, it's the interviewer. And what is this interviewer doing the whole time? They're asking questions. The moment that you're the one explaining yourself, you've already lost the frame. Bit of a side note here, but this is why asking the interviewer questions at the end is a powerful way to regain control. But the thing to remember here is that sales conversations work in exactly the same way. So when someone shows interest and looks like they're ready to sign on the dotted line, but then you immediately dump your pitch on them, you just told their brain exactly where you stand, below them, chasing them, hoping that they're going to say yes. Your overenthusiasm signals low leverage. Your high speed, well, that signals desperation. And your volume signals insecurity. Now, think about it like poker. When someone says interested, they placed a small bet. They're in the hand, but they haven't shown you their cards. Most people see that small bet and then immediately shove their entire stack into the middle and flip over their cards at the same time. Essentially giving clients their full pitch, listing out every service, showing every case study, just fully exposing everything. What just happened though was that you just showed every card you're holding. There's nothing left to wonder about. There's no reason to stay at the table. I know this because I used to do this constantly. Someone would reach out, they'd say they were interested, and I'd send back 5 full-length paragraphs explaining everything about how I work and my process and my pricing and my results. I thought I was being helpful, and I thought I was being thorough and honest and transparent. But what I was actually doing was handing over all of my leverage before the conversation even started. And then I'd wonder why they went quiet. So, how do you escape from the reply trap? Well, you need to do things differently. You don't push all your chips into the middle, you don't flip over all your cards, but you don't fold either. Instead, you make a small bet that forces them to reveal something first. So let me walk you through exactly how to do this. Just 4 moves, each one keeps you in control instead of chasing. Move 1 is the acknowledge. This move flips leverage. Most people skip this entirely. Someone says, I'm interested, and they immediately send a wall of text explaining their services. But like we've already covered, that's just the wrong move, and you just went all in on an opening bet. The acknowledge does 2 things. First, it confirms that you received their interest, which matters because you don't want them wondering if you even saw their message or you even heard what they were saying. And second, it creates just enough friction to make them engage again. And that part's important, like really important, because sales happen through back and forth conversations. Here's the script to say. Sounds like this. Thanks for reaching out. Before I dive into details, I want to make sure this is actually the right fit for what you're dealing with. Mind if I ask you a couple questions? That's it. You're not selling, you're not pitching, you're not explaining what you do yet. And here's what happens behind the scenes. Something shifts psychologically, and they go from, let me see if this person can convince me, to let me prove that I'm worth their time. And just like that, the power dynamic flipped with just 1 message. Now, some people think, won't I lose them? What if they wanted information right away and now they'll just go to someone else? Honestly, some might. But here's what I've learned. The people who disappear because you asked a question, they were never going to buy anyway. They were tire kickers. They were just curious. And the odds were good here that they were going to ghost you regardless of what you sent them. On the other hand, the people who actually have a problem that they need solved, well, they're more than happy to answer a few simple questions. In fact, they usually appreciate that you're not just blasting them with a generic sales pitch, as it shows that you actually care about their specific situation. I mean, imagine going to a doctor, sitting down, and before you say a single word, they write you a random prescription and hand you a $500 bill. No questions, no diagnosis, no attempt to understand what's actually wrong. You'd walk out immediately. And yet, that's exactly what happens every time you pitch someone before you fully understand who they are and what they need, and whether, or even how, you can actually help them. Move 2 is the qualify question. This move forces self-persuasion. Bad questions sound like, what services are you looking for? Or what's your budget? Or when are you looking to get started? Now, on the surface, these do seem reasonable. I mean, you're gathering information, right? But here's the problem. Those questions put you back in sales mode because all you're doing is gathering information so you can pitch better, so you can tailor your offer, so you can close them. And clients can feel this. Even if they can't articulate why, something just feels off because the subtext of these questions is, help me figure out how to sell to you. Good questions work differently. They make the prospect do the work of selling themselves. So here's exactly what to say. Say something like, what's been stopping you from fixing this yourself so far? Or what made you reach out today instead of last month? Or what happens if you don't solve this in the next 90 days? These questions force the prospect to articulate their own pain out loud to you. And here's why that matters. When someone says out loud why they need help, they're not just telling you, they're also convincing themselves. They're hearing their own voice describe their own problem, and that's way more persuasive than anything that you could ever hope to say to them. The key here, though, is to actually listen to their answers. Not just wait for them to finish so you can dive into your offer, but really listen, and then ask follow-up questions based on what they just said. These follow-up questions are things like, you mentioned you tried running ads before, but they didn't work. What happened exactly? Or you said you'd been thinking about this for a while. What's different now? Every question makes them more invested, and every answer makes them more convinced that they need a solution, and you still haven't pitched a single thing. Move 3 is the fit filter. This move triggers desire through scarcity. Now, this feels completely backwards. I mean, why would you tell someone they might not qualify when you want them as a client? Isn't that just pushing them away? But here's the thing. When people sense that something might be out of reach, they want it more. It's why limited edition works so well. It's why exclusive clubs have lines around the block. It's why telling a kid that they can't have cookies makes them obsess about cookies. The moment someone senses that working with you might not be available to them, their desire for it increases. So here's how I do it. After they've answered a few questions and I understand their situation, I say this. Just so you know, my approach works best for people who are already generating leads but feel stuck on why those leads aren't converting. If you're still figuring out how to get leads in the first place, I'm probably not the right fit for where you're at. Does that sound like your situation? Watch what happens. They immediately start proving why they fit your criteria, saying something like, oh no, I'm definitely getting leads. I ran a campaign last month. I got like 50 inquiries. They just didn't convert into anything. So now they're no longer evaluating you. Instead, they're selling you on why they deserve to work with you. Think about what just happened in poker terms. When they said, I'm interested, that was a small bet. They entered the hand. You didn't shove all your chips in, you simply checked and asked a question. When they answered, they raised. They invested a little more. And now, again, instead of pushing your stack into the middle, you're signaling that you might check or even fold. That uncertainty is what makes them lean forward and start pushing chips in, because people fight harder to stay in a hand when they're the ones investing. The whole dynamic flipped. But look, this only works if your criteria are real. If you're secretly willing to take on anyone with a pulse and a credit card, and you're just using this as some fancy manipulation tactic, people are gonna feel it. That inauthenticity is gonna show through, and it's not gonna work. You actually have to have standards. You actually have to know who you do your best work for, and you have to be willing to turn away people who don't fit, even if they wanna pay you. That's what makes this powerful. It's not a trick. It's genuine selectivity that also happens to be psychologically compelling. Now, this level of qualification doesn't make sense for everyone. If you're selling low ticket offers under $100 or so, this is overkill. You're gonna spend way more time filtering than you're gonna make on the sale, so the math just doesn't work. This system is built for services in the $1,000 to $10,000 plus range and well beyond that, where qualifying saves you from nightmare clients who drain your energy and often don't get results anyway because they weren't the right fit to begin with. Move 4 is the controlled advanced. This one closes without chasing. So here's what most people do. They get through the whole conversation, they build rapport, they ask good questions, they filter well, and then at the end, they say, so, would you want to hop on a call sometime? And just like that, all the power they built up completely disappears. That question puts everything back in the prospect's hands. It's basically saying, so, is this worth your time? You decide. And you're back to chasing clients again. The controlled advance works differently. After they've answered your questions and confirmed they fit your criteria, you say this. Based on what you've told me, I think we could probably help with this. If you want, I can send over a link to grab 15 minutes this week so I can walk you through how this would work for your specific situation. Sound good? Notice what happened there. You decided they qualified. You offered the next step. and you made it feel like an invitation that they earned, not a pitch that you're just randomly making. And that little phrase, based on what you've told me, is doing most of the important work here because it's quietly signaling that you listened, that this isn't a generic offer that you make to everyone, and that they specifically, based on their unique situation, are being invited to the next step. Most people say yes immediately because by this point, they've invested in the conversation, they've explained their problems, they've proven they fit your criteria, they've done the work, and now you're telling them that they passed the test. So why would they say no? And look, one of my clients, a business coach, used to lose leads every week after sending walls of text. The week he switched to this 4-message system, he booked 3 sales calls from leads who'd previously ghosted him because he stopped pitching and started asking. Now, here's where this gets really powerful, because the best version of this system doesn't require you to send every message manually. Research from MIT shows that responding to leads within 5 minutes makes you 100 times more likely to connect versus waiting 30 minutes or longer. Not 10 times more, not 20 times more, but 100 times more likely to connect with potential clients. Think about what that means practically. Most service providers respond in hours. Some respond in days. Sadly, I've seen a lot of people take a week or even longer to respond to a hot lead. But by then, the prospect has already moved on. They've forgotten why they were interested in the first place, or they found someone else who actually replied. But here's the problem. You can't respond in 5 minutes if you're sleeping, or if you're with another client, or if you're picking up your kids, or if you're just trying to live your life like a normal person who isn't glued to their phone waiting for the new lead notifications to start rolling in. So I built a system that responds for me. Whether a lead comes in at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night or 3 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, it sends the acknowledge instantly. They respond, it sends the qualify question. And by morning, I know which leads are worth my time as the system filtered while I slept. Speed isn't just about efficiency. It's more about staying in control. But let me show you what this actually looks like. Here's my automation. Leads come in at the top and the system automatically sends the acknowledge message within 2 minutes. When they reply, the system sends the qualify question. When they respond with a detailed answer about their situation, this triggers the fit filter message. So by the time I personally check in later that day or the next day when I've got some time, I can see that the system has already determined which leads were high fit based on their responses. This means I don't have to read through everything and figure out if they're going to be a good fit or not. The system does all of this for me. My follow-up was personal, but it was informed by everything they'd already shared. And because they'd invested all that time in explaining their situation, they were ready to book. Now, if you're looking at all of that and thinking, I don't know if I could set that up, I want to be really clear about something. This isn't complicated technology. It's just a few automated messages triggered by responses. If you can send a text message, you can set this up. And even if you never automate any of this, the framework still works. The psychology is what matters here. The automation just makes it scalable. Okay, 3 warnings before you go out and run with this. Warning number 1, the filter has to be real. I know I said this before, but it's worth repeating. If you're gonna take any client with a credit card, they're gonna feel it. You can't fake selectivity. Warning 2, stay curious longer than it feels comfortable. The moment that you just start dumping information on them that they didn't even ask for, you've pushed your chips in and flipped over your cards all at the same time. So the power flips against you. Warning 3, you will lose some leads who wanted faster answers. But good, these people were gonna be difficult clients anyway. The leads you keep are going to be better, higher paying, and easier to work with because they pre-sold themselves through the process. So here's your choice. You can be the player who goes all in and pushes their stack into the middle of the table at the first sign of interest and then watch the client fold and slowly back away. Or you can be the one they lean forward for because they need to know what you're holding. Choice is yours. Now, this framework handles what happens after they show interest, but there's a psychological trigger that makes the whole system work even better. One that flips the dynamic. So instead of you chasing clients, they start chasing you. It's called the red button effect. And when you stack it with what you just learned, prospects stop asking, convince me, and start asking, what do I need to do to work with you? I break down exactly how it works in the video that I've got linked up right here. So feel free to tap or click that now, and I'll see you in there. Oh, and if you want to just copy and paste the automation I showed you today, I left a link in the descriptions below this video where you can try the platform free for 30 days. Everything I talked about and a whole lot more are included for free.